Okay, today we're talking about something elite athletes do that's very unconscious, that gets overlooked, is not really talked about. I've got a couple props here. You may think it's goofy, but until you try it, you can't knock it. And this concept is all about pressure and internal pressure systems and how to pressurize. Particularly what we're talking about today is the transverse arch, which runs from the ball of the first toe to the ball of the fifth toe, okay? And if you look at some of the most elite athletes, you can look at the best pro dunkers in the world, you can see an immense amount of pressure in that transverse arch before they go ahead and perform, their athletic feat. I'm gonna stop right there, and if you aren't signed up for my newsletter, this is kind of a follow-on to the weekly email that I send out. I would love for you, if you're interested in learning more about athletic principles and tips, my thought processes for myself and with my athletes of all ages, middle school up through the professional athletes that I train, as well as, hey, if you're a grandparent and you want to run around with your kids all day, that this email has value for you regardless of where you are in that spectrum. Anyways, you can sign up for that on my website, ladperformance.com. And I have a weekly email section. Would love to have you as part of the community. And that comes out weekly, like I mentioned. So anyways, what you have, I'm gonna show you a couple things I like to do in terms of pressurizing the system. And I think it's super important because what the pressure allows you to do in the athletic feat, even in walking really, is it gives your body and brain an anchor. So if I go ahead and just lift my heel up, my other foot's off the ground, and I'm just operating on that ball of the foot, I get an immense amount of pressure if I start to bend my knee and kind of yield into the ground. Here, my ankle doesn't drop. I'm kind of deforming or resisting against this collapse. All right, I'm staying stable here, and I'm feeling this immensely, like in my shin, calf, quad, hamstring. Everything is recruited because you have a strong input, right, from the pressure. So the pressure system gives you an input, and then from that input, you're able to do the output, which is the jump, which is the sprint stride, which is the walk, which is whatever it is. The elites have figured this out. If you go and look at, like I said, an elite pro level dunker, take a pause right before they transition from that down phase to the up phase and part of their jump. All of them, if they're doing a 2-foot jump, all of them are off their heel. Just go watch. And you can just type in YouTube, best pro dunkers, regardless of height. They all kind of operate, from the side view, their foot's like this. There's so much pressure in that ball of the foot before they jump. And that's giving their body an anchor. It's giving their body a strong input. And what happens in the foot, and I'll show you here in a second, is the foot kind of goes from this to that. And from the long view, it actually kind of narrows. And you can get an immense amount of pressure if you narrow it. I know we get, and I fell victim to this myself, I know we want to spread the toes out, and there's a case in point for that. I know we want to spread the toes out, use the toe spacers to spread them out, and I get that because footwear has prevented us from a natural shape on our foot. But on the other side of that coin is everything we do in athleticism, in athletic feats, we need to be able to shrink that arch. We need to be able to pressurize from a smaller surface area in order to maximize the output. So you need the arch, you need that transverse arch to shrink from this view because you get an immense amount of pressure in that small little surface area. And that's how pressure works. Okay, we want to pressurize that small little surface area of the transverse arch. So one of the ways I like doing that is on a brick, and like I said, you can't knock it until you try it. So what you're going to do here is you just kind of bounce, take a brick, and you could take rock beds or sticks or whatever you have, and you're just going to play around with balance. And like I said, you're kind of bending in this position. I'm pressurizing that transverse arch. I'm anchored into the ground, and then you're just going to play around with different positions, right? I'm feeling this everywhere because this is kind of like a hold. It's an isometric. My shins working hard. My soleus, which is like the lateral part of my calf, that kind of runs underneath your gastroc, is working hard. My gastroc, the big belly calf muscles, working hard. Everything's being recruited. And like I said, you're just kind of anchoring yourself into the ground. And I've tried this on myself and with my athletes. I mean, I'll see anywhere from a 2 to 10% increase in vertical jump, or hurdle jumps, whatever we're doing that day, if I use the brick. And my athletes have experienced, they think it's goofy, but they notice tangible benefits, that we calculate on our various devices that we use in here. So I think it's a really good tool for you to use before you're doing any sort of running or jumping or cutting. And like I said, I like the brick because it's novel. It's like a new stimulus. If you don't want to use the brick and you can't spend 50 cents and go get one, I'm sure you have some sort of towel, paper towel, microfiber cloth, whatever it is. And what you can do here, same sort of concept. All right, you're going to lift up the heel. I'm bending into the ground. This back foot's going to be almost like in a tripod position. And you're just going to work on trying to curl, almost like toe curling, the cloth. And what's going on here is you're going to go until, what's going on is you're getting a deep burn in your foot. Once again, tons of pressure going on that transverse arch. I'm feeling that burn running through my same areas, shin, gastroc, soleus, and we're just trying to pressurize that transverse arch, getting a strong input. And we're working on, like I talked about in the first weekly email, that arch activation. Okay, that's another tool you could use. A third thing that you could do is you could just simply, walk with a little bit of a heel lift, not all the way up on your toes like this. Just kind of walk with your heel off. Once again, all the pressure is being felt on that transverse arch. The surface area is not the full foot, it's just that arch. And you're just kind of playing around with different pressure systems. You can kind of bend into there, extend a little bit. But the key is, I don't want this. This is working something completely different. I want just the heel slightly off the ground, and I want you to feel that pressure change that you can gain just by doing that. But if I were to rank the tools, the brick is definitely the most important, I think the most powerful. I would do the microfiber cloth second. And then if you don't want to do any of those and you just want to do the third one, that's I think the least important option in order to increase your athleticism. So like I said, I would give those a try. I mean, you could try those anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes is usually what I do with myself and with my athletes. But I think it might really benefit you with whatever your athletic feat is. I know we're talking about jumping. So give these a shot and let me know. Like I said, if you haven't signed up for our weekly email, you can find that on my website. Would love to have you as part of the community. And we will talk to you next week. Take care, everybody.